Hey, what's up, beautiful people? This is Benjamin Rolnick, and are you intrigued by that title, Advanced Manifestation? I know I definitely was, and I was invited to a dinner last night, an exclusive dinner of advanced manifestors that only 13 of us could attend. And of course, going into it, I was really intrigued. But also going into it, I was thinking to myself, do I really fit in with this crowd of advanced meditators? It was one of those kind of first days of school moment of thinking, oh my God, is anyone going to like me? Like, what's going to happen here? Are they going to find out the little small person that I am? Because I'm a caveman. To me, advanced manifestation, like I get as far as massive action. Massive action is the way to advanced manifestation. And I was so open and curious, like, what are some other ways to achieve a result without action, without massive action? And I was excited to learn. And people are going around the table and they're sharing, and I'm hearing all of his stuff around, like we're going beyond the secret, we're going beyond the law of attraction. We have to tune into the vibrations and the frequencies of what we want, and we have to be what we want to become. And I'm like into it, and I'm really thinking about it. I'm like, wow, what is going to come out of this conversation? What am I going to learn? And my friend Mark turns around and he goes, I'm really a rational thinker. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm so excited for what you're about to say. And he goes, I'm really a rational thinker. And what I've been thinking about is the question of being, of manifesting being in myself. And then he continues with this that really blew all of our minds. And he said, at New Year's, a friend of mine gave me a riddle and a puzzle, and it really changed my whole conception about how the world works and how I'm not seeing all of these invisible things that are quite easily visible in front of me. And he said, here's the answer to the riddle. And we went, no, stop! Don't give us the answer to the riddle. We want to figure this out for ourselves. Because if we don't figure it out, at least if we're not in the questioning of it, then we can't create anything with the answer. The answer will be absolutely meaningless for us. Just like if we don't work for something, then we don't really truly feel like we earned it, and it doesn't have the same level of value for us. Now, that's not always true, but in the case of riddles, it's a lot more fun to struggle with it as opposed to just get the answer immediately. So he goes, it's called the red umbrella. And he said, we got to figure out what can go under the red umbrella. This blue pen cannot go under the red umbrella. This black pen can. Well, actually, now this blue pen can go under the red umbrella. This red pen cannot go under the red umbrella. This pen can go under the red umbrella. Or can't, excuse me, the pen can't go under the red umbrella. Wait, no, now it can. The pen can go under the red umbrella. The background can't go under the red umbrella. My face can go under the red umbrella. My ears can't go under the red umbrella. My throat can't go under the red umbrella. My watch can go under the red umbrella. My watch can't go under the red umbrella now. So interesting. So what do you think the secret to what can go under the red umbrella is? Think about it, think about it, think about it, think about it, think about it. Well, sure enough, it took us some time, and we totally did not get it at all. And the point of it, and I'm not going to give it to you right now because I really want you to think about it. What can go under the red umbrella? This blue pen can't go under the red umbrella. The background can, though. The background can. Well, actually, now the background can't. Well, now the blue pen can go under the red umbrella. Oh my God, isn't it so confusing? What can actually go under the red umbrella? And the answer is very obvious. It's always obvious. In every riddle, it is extremely obvious. Now, one of the things I'm a huge fan of is distinction. I think distinction is the language of mind. It's the language of consciousness. It's what creates the epiphenomenon reality for all of us. And as far as distinction goes, there can be difference without any distinction. And what you're trying to do in your mind right now is you're trying to create a distinction from the difference that you observe between me saying, well, the blue pen can go under, but the blue background can't. Now, there's obviously a difference, right? Because a second ago I said the blue pen can, and I said the background can, and now I totally switched it. So what the hell is the distinction between those two things? So I'll use a better example than that. There was a guy named Ignaz Philippe, I think, Semmelweis, and he was observing maternity clinics, and he was very confused because in one clinic there was this extreme outbreak of puerperal, I think, puerperal fever, something like that. It's essentially, let's just consider it a disease. And in the second clinic, there wasn't very much of the same disease. And he knew that childbirth, I mean, yes, it was not the safest thing in the world, but he was absolutely certain that that the amount of women that were dying should not have been dying. So he examined it. He knew there was a difference. In one clinic, there was about like a 13% death rate, and in the other clinic, there was only a 2% death rate. So how could that be possible? How could two clinics featuring the same basic setup of women giving childbirth have a 13% death rate and a 2% death rate? And in your mind, you could be thinking of a million different options, and you got it. You're right. There's a difference, but you haven't created a distinction yet. And what happened was he realized that the mothers that were dying were usually treated by doctors who had just finished giving autopsies of mothers who had died of puerperal fever, however you say that word. Now, here's what's really fascinating. That's still another difference. But he created a distinction in his mind, and he said, well, what if the reason why these mothers were dying was because puerperal fever was a contagious disease, and these doctors doing the autopsies hadn't washed their hands. Their hands were contaminated, so when they essentially helped the mother through labor, they were now infecting the mother with the disease. Frickin' amazingly obvious, right? But not so obvious before he made that distinction. So what he realized was, wow, we should have sanitation in hospitals, and he invented washing your hands. Can you believe that? Nobody washed their hands before Semmelweis. There wasn't a concept of like, oh, sanitation in hospitals, we need to wash our hands to not infect other patients. So he created an absolute amazing distinction there. Now, the thing about it is that there are only a certain amount of variables for every equation. I think like a scientist. I always like breaking things down into their atomic elements, because then you can put them back together in ways that are magical, seemingly. Now, I didn't figure out that riddle, but I started breaking down all the components. So I started breaking down, well, there's only the expressive content. So is it like what I'm touching? Is it what he's indicating towards? Is it where he's looking? Is it something that he's doing with his hands, whatever? Or there's the semantic content, and the semantic content could be priming words. The semantic content could be word structure. The semantic content could be syllable count. It could be letter. Like, for example, does it have the letters R, E, or D in it? Or, you know, a series of letters, so like two letters joining, like an LL or an OO. There are so many different semantic distinctions and expressive distinctions, so on and so forth. And the way that it worked actually was within those two categories, but it was not something that I had distinguished. It wasn't even something in my mind to look for, so I was looking in all the wrong areas. Now, as I think about manifestation, and I think about my caveman mind of manifestation, advanced manifestation is the difference between action and massive action. So if I want to be a manifestor, I take action. If I want to be an advanced manifestor, I take massive action. And what I realized was that, well, what are the components of creating anything that you want? And I thought, well, definitely action is a necessary component. Action's got to be a component of manifestation. But action is sandwiched between will. So there's got to be a willingness or a desire to take action, right? Otherwise you won't take it. And then there's got to be results. You got to see what the action leads to. You got to get feedback from the action. You got to learn from it. So I thought to myself, well, you know, as all these people are talking about, you know, the law of attraction, and they're talking about energy, and they're talking about vibrational frequencies and drawing things into us and all things like that, what if all we were talking about was different combinations, sort of like, you know, the difference between a spicy soup and a sour soup, between will, action, and results. Now, what I thought was that, well, maybe what advanced manifestation is really about, so how we look at being or becoming, and how we look at tuning into frequencies, how we look at prayer, how we look at more quantum phenomena and things like that, are essentially harnessing will and results for the purpose of action. Now, this might just be my total caveman thinking here, where, you know, I'm oversimplifying something that's more cosmic and more divine, and I'm really curious what you guys think. I could talk about this way more, but I'm really curious what you think the components for advanced manifestation are, what you use to advance manifest, and see if it actually fits into that paradigm of what you're working on around your will, what you're working on around action, and what you're working on around results. Because, for example, tuning into the frequency is looking for results. It's looking for positive results that are leading you in the right direction. So when there's an opening, boom, you go for it and you take it. Whereas when you don't have the distinction and you just have difference, then you might not see the opening, you might not be your becoming and jump through the opportunity and dance with it when it comes. You get that? So everybody saw this same phenomenon in the hospital in Vienna. But Semmelweis was the only person that put two and two together. He utilized the law of attraction to find the distinction that people were not washing their hands. So he had a result that fed back into his will and ultimately took action in order to solve the problem. And he manifested lower rates of infant mortality and women dying during childbirth. So what do you do to manifest? What's your advanced manifestation skills? I'm so curious. I want to learn something. Please, you know, whatever it is, whether or not it works or doesn't work, like, throw it in the pot. Much love, many blessings. I'm Benjamin Rolnick, and I pray you get everything you want today in a miraculous way.